AI, it seems like it's absolutely everywhere these days, dominating headlines, sparking all these debates, and maybe even, I don't know, maybe even creaking some people out a little bit.
Yeah, I get that.
But I think what we really want to get into today on this deep dive is, what happens when this whole AI tidal wave hits college campuses?
Right.
Are students secretly using it to write all their papers? Are professors freaking out? I mean, is this the end of learning as we know it?
Yeah, the end of the college essay.
Okay. Maybe not quite that dramatic,
Uh,
but I think there are some serious questions here. And, I'm really glad that you're here today to help us sort of unpack some of this.
yeah, happy to be here.
Because you've been diving deep into some research about this, right?
Yeah. There's a lot of assumptions flying around about AI and higher education.
Right.
But, luckily there's some really good research emerging to give us, a little bit of a clearer picture.
Yeah, for sure. And that's where this new study comes in. So you've been looking at this. It's called Clarifying Ethical Dilemmas in Sharpening Students' Artificial Intelligence Proficiency. And it's brand new, just came out in July 2024. So super up to date.
Yeah, it's hot off the presses.
And it surveyed 126 undergrads in South Florida. So, a decent sample size.
Yeah, it's a good group.
And they asked them about their actual experiences with AI.
Yeah, their real day-to-day use.
So no more speculation, let's get to the facts. So first up, are students really using AI for schoolwork, or is this, just a media frenzy?
Well, the study found that a pretty surprising number, actually. 78% of the students said they were using AI tools at least once a week for their schoolwork.
78%.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay, so that's way more common than I think most people would probably even realize.
I think so.
Yeah.
And it's not just a one-off thing either.
Right.
Some students are actually using these tools multiple times a day. And not just for, the obvious things like writing. It's research, it's studying, even just, organizing their schedules and things.
So it's like AI is becoming this essential, Swiss Army knife for students.
Exactly. And the researchers actually even go so far as to suggest that students are really starting to see AI as an extension of their own minds.
Interesting.
Like a superpowered research assistant or even a second brain.
A second brain.
Yeah.
Okay. Now that's a concept I think we need to unpack a little bit, so we're going to get into that. I mean, it does make you wonder, is this changing how students think? Is AI actually making them smarter, or is it a crutch that could make them, less capable in the long run?
I mean, that's the million-dollar question, right?
Right.
And the study kind of delves into that a little bit.
Yeah.
They also found that while a majority of students,
Okay.
around 55%,
Okay.
viewed using AI as ethically okay,
Right.
there's still, a good chunk who either disagree or are unsure.
So there's not really a clear consensus.
Not really, no.
Yeah. Okay. That's interesting.
And, almost like a third of them were unsure, which I think is really telling.
Yeah.
It kind of shows that they're grappling with these issues themselves.
Right. So it seems like even the students themselves are kind of wrestling with all these ethical implications, right?
Yeah, and it's not surprising. There aren't a lot of guidelines.
Right.
Especially clear ones from universities.
Exactly.
And a lot of students actually reported that, their professors haven't even really addressed AI use in the classroom.
It's like the elephant in the room, or the AI in the room.
Right. Yeah, and that just adds to the confusion and uncertainty.
Yeah, it's true. It's almost like when calculators first came out, right? Everybody was really worried that, oh, this is going to make students forget basic math.
Right.
Maybe AI is just the next big tech tool that educators need to, figure out and adapt to.
Yeah. I think there are some really interesting parallels there.
Yeah.
And the research paper actually touches on this as well.
Oh, that's cool.
Highlighting the need for adaptation.
Yeah.
They argue that, universities really need to be more proactive in terms of guiding students on how to use AI ethically and effectively.
Yeah, totally.
They actually use this phrase, sharpening the AI saw. I really like that.
It's a good phrase.
And they actually quote Abraham Lincoln,
Oh, wow.
who famously said, "Give me 6 hours to chop down a tree, and I will spend the first 4 sharpening the axe."
I love that quote.
Yeah, it's a good one.
It's such a powerful analogy, right?
It is, because in today's world, knowing how to use AI is becoming almost as essential as knowing how to use a computer.
Right.
It's not just a tech skill anymore.
Right.
It's almost like a core competency.
Yeah. Okay, so we've established that students are using AI
Uh-huh.
and that universities need to kind of, catch up in a way. But what does sharpening the AI saw actually look like in practice? How can professors actually integrate AI into the classroom in a way that actually enhances learning without compromising all this stuff like academic integrity.
Right. Well, that's where things I think get really interesting.
Okay.
The research paper actually offers some practical examples.
Oh, cool.
Like using AI for things like brainstorming,
Yeah.
outlining, research,
Got it.
even for, drafting and editing.
Okay, so those are really concrete things. So this isn't just like a theoretical concept.
No, it's really happening.
Students are already using AI for this stuff.
Yeah, I mean, this is based on, student responses.
Exactly.
So they're actually using it for these tasks.
Wow. But of course, there are potential downsides too, right?
Of course. I mean, one of the biggest concerns, of course, is plagiarism.
Right.
If students are using AI to generate, text,
Right.
how do we know they actually understand the material? How do we make sure they're not just, copying and pasting?
That's a huge concern. I mean, it seems like a lot of responsibility kind of falls on professors then to design assignments that can't simply be outsourced to an AI, right?
Definitely.
Like they have to figure out ways to really require critical thinking and analysis and, the ability to sort of synthesize information that goes beyond, what AI can currently do.
Absolutely.
Yeah, it's tricky.
It is.
And then let's not forget, also the importance of teaching students how to properly cite and attribute any AI-generated content they do use.
Right, because they need to understand that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it really is all about this balance between leveraging the power of AI, but also upholding those, core values of academic honesty and original thought and stuff.
It is.
Yeah, it's tricky. But what really struck me in the research was this idea that we're on the verge of a major shift in education.
Yeah, for sure.
It's not just about integrating a new tool, right? It's about completely rethinking what it means to learn and to teach in a world where AI is becoming so ubiquitous.
Right. We're talking about foundational changes.
Exactly.
It's not just about adding something new.
Yeah.
It's about, rethinking how we do everything.
It's true. And, the students that are in college today, they're the ones that are going to be shaping this AI-powered future, right?
For sure.
And so I think it's really up to all of us to prepare them, not just with the technical skills, but also with this critical thinking, ethical reasoning, and the human empathy. Right?
Absolutely.
Which are going to be more essential than ever in a world that's increasingly dominated by algorithms.
Yeah, I think that's a really key point.
Yeah, it's easy to get kind of caught up in all the hype or the fear surrounding AI.
Yeah, it can be overwhelming.
Yeah.
For sure.
But what I think this research shows us is that the reality is much more nuanced than that.
Absolutely.
It's not a magic bullet.
No.
And it's not a monster.
No.
It's a powerful tool that we just really need to learn to use wisely.
Right.
And responsibly.
Yeah.
And I think that learning process really starts with understanding, how it's already impacting our lives, our classrooms, and even the very fabric of knowledge itself.
Right.
Right?
And understanding is key, right?
Yeah.
It's not just about fearing it or blindly embracing it.
Right.
It's about understanding it.
Yeah. And so that's exactly what we're going to keep doing in this deep dive. We're going to be exploring all these, potential benefits and the ethical challenges of AI in education. We're going to be looking at how universities, professors, and students themselves are navigating this uncharted territory, right?
Absolutely. It's a really exciting time to be looking at this.
Stay with us.
So, we were just talking about this whole idea of AI as a second brain.
Right.
And it really makes you think about the skills that students are going to need to thrive in this world that's changing so rapidly.
Totally.
Yeah.
It's not just about learning how to code or, build algorithms anymore. It's about understanding how to work with AI, how to leverage its strengths, but also how to be aware of its limitations,
Absolutely. And maybe even more importantly than that, it's about developing that, critical thinking filter.
Yeah.
Because, AI can churn out information like nobody's business.
Oh, yeah.
But it's up to us humans to decide, what's accurate, what's relevant, and what's ethically sound.
Right. It's like having a superpower, but with great power comes great responsibility, right?
Exactly. And that's why it's so important for universities to kind of step up and provide clear guidelines, training, and support for both students and professors,
Yeah, for sure.
It's about creating a culture of responsible AI use.
Right.
Where everybody understands, the potential benefits, but also the potential pitfalls.
Totally. And, the research paper that we've been talking about really emphasizes this need for a proactive approach.
Yes, definitely.
It argues that universities can't just kind of sit back and wait for things to unfold.
Right.
They have to be actively shaping the future of AI in education.
And it's not just about, preventing misuse or plagiarism.
Right.
It's about equipping students with the skills and the knowledge that they're going to need to succeed in a world where AI is increasingly integrated into every industry and, basically every aspect of our lives.
Right. Yeah. So it's really about empowering students, not just policing them.
For sure.
And the paper actually gives some really cool examples of how professors are already integrating AI into their classrooms in a way that, like, actually enhances learning
Right.
rather than replacing it,
Exactly. Yeah, like, for example, some professors are using AI-powered tools to help students with brainstorming and outlining,
Oh, interesting.
which can be super helpful, for students who maybe struggle with organization or getting their ideas,
Yeah.
down on paper.
Yeah. It's like having, like, an AI writing partner
Right.
there to help you structure your thoughts and, develop your arguments.
Totally.
That's really neat.
And then others are using AI for research, which can help students sift through, mountains of information
Oh, for sure.
really quickly and help them identify the most relevant sources.
Yeah, that would be a game changer for research.
Totally. And that can save so much time
Right.
and allow them to really focus on the deeper aspects of their research.
Yeah, like the analysis and the critical evaluation and all that.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So it's kind of like having an AI research assistant.
I love that.
Always there, ready to fetch you the information that you need.
I mean, that's amazing.
And some professors are even using AI for language learning,
Oh, wow.
providing personalized feedback on things like grammar, vocabulary, pronunciation,
Yeah.
which can be super helpful for, students learning English as a second language.
Right.
Or even, just students who want to improve their writing.
Totally. So it's like having like a 247 AI language tutor.
Exactly. And I
Right.
think all these examples really show how AI can be used to personalize learning, cater to those individual student needs,
Right.
and just make education more engaging
Yeah.
and effective overall.
I think that's so important, that personalization piece.
Yeah.
Because everybody learns so differently,
Absolutely. But, at the end of the day,
Yeah.
we have to remember that AI is a tool.
Right.
And like any tool, it can be used for good or for bad.
Right.
So it all comes down to how we choose to wield it.
Yeah, totally. And that's why I think this conversation about ethics is just so important.
It's crucial.
We need to be constantly evaluating how AI is being used,
Yeah,
questioning its assumptions,
for sure.
and making sure that it aligns with our values,
Definitely. And this is a conversation that we need to be having not just in academia,
Right.
but in society as a whole.
Yeah, for sure.
Because this isn't just transforming education.
Right.
This is transforming everything.
It really is. The students that are in college today are the ones who are going to be shaping this AI-powered future, right? And it's up to us to prepare them, not just with the technical skills,
Yeah.
but with that critical thinking, the ethical reasoning, and the human empathy that's going to be more essential than ever in this world that's, increasingly dominated by algorithms.
For sure.
It's easy to get caught up in all the hype
Yeah, it's easy to get swept away.
or the fear, surrounding AI.
Yeah, absolutely.
But I think what this research really shows us is that the reality is much more nuanced than that.
I think so too.
AI is not a magic bullet,
No.
and it's not a monster under the bed.
Right. It's somewhere in between.
Yeah.
It's a powerful tool that we need to learn to use wisely and responsibly.
And that learning process, it really starts with understanding, how it's impacting our lives, our classrooms, and the very fabric of knowledge itself.
And I love that you say, understanding is key.
Yeah.
It's not about fearing it.
Right.
It's not about blindly embracing it.
Yeah.
It's about understanding it.
I think that's so key. And, the research actually dives into some of the specific, anxieties that students themselves are expressing about AI.
Yeah, they talk about that quite a bit.
Yeah. Like, for example, a lot of students are worried that over-reliance on AI could make them lazy or, hinder their ability to think for themselves.
Right, like if we let the machines do all the thinking,
Yeah,
what happens to us?
totally. It's like that classic, if you don't use it, you lose it dilemma.
Exactly.
But, applied to our brains.
To our brain.
Right. If we let AI do all the heavy lifting, will our cognitive muscles, atrophy,
Yeah, it's a valid concern.
Yeah.
And I think it highlights the need for balance.
Right.
We need to be really mindful about how we integrate AI into learning
Uh-huh.
and make sure it's actually complementing human intelligence,
Yeah.
not replacing it.
It's about using AI as like a springboard for deeper thinking,
Right.
not a substitute for it. The research also found that some students are concerned about the potential for AI to kind of exacerbate these existing inequalities in education.
Oh, yeah, definitely concerned.
Yeah,
Yeah.
if access to these AI tools and resources isn't evenly distributed,
Right.
it could create a new digital divide,
For sure.
further disadvantaging students who are already facing, systemic barriers.
We're already seeing that happening in a lot of ways.
Exactly.
So this is, adding another layer to that.
Yeah, that's a really good point. So
Yeah.
it's really about leveling the playing field,
Mm-hmm.
not tilting it even further in the wrong direction.
Yeah, and these student anxieties, I think, are a good reminder that this whole conversation about AI in education,
Right.
it's not just about the technology itself.
Yeah.
It's about the human values
Yeah.
and the societal implications that are intertwined with it.
Totally. It's about making sure that AI serves us,
Yeah,
not the other way around.
absolutely. And it's important to recognize that this is, an ongoing dialogue.
Right.
The technology is changing
So
constantly.
it's moving so fast.
Yeah, and our understanding of its impact, has to evolve right along with it.
Totally. So it's not about finding one fixed solution.
Right.
It's about cultivating a mindset of adaptability,
Yes.
critical thinking,
Mhm.
ethical awareness.
It's about embracing the unknown.
Yeah.
Because the future of AI in education, it's still being written. And we all have a role to play in shaping that narrative.
Oh, I love that. That's such a good point.
Yeah.
It's a little bit exciting
It is.
and a little bit scary all at the same time.
I think that's a pretty good description of where we are right now,
Yeah.
on the cusp of something really transformative,
Mm-hmm.
but with a healthy dose of caution and critical thinking to guide us.
I like that. But before we get too far ahead of ourselves,
Right.
let's bring it back to the here and now.
Okay.
What are some concrete steps that universities can take today to start sharpening the AI saw, right? What does responsible AI integration actually look like, on the ground?
Well, I think it starts with acknowledging that AI is already here.
Right.
It's already being used by students,
Yeah,
and it's not going away anytime soon.
that's for sure.
So, burying our heads in the sand is not an option.
Yeah. Pretending it's not happening is not a viable strategy.
No. So instead, universities really need to be proactive in developing clear policies and guidelines
Okay.
around AI use.
Yeah.
And these policies need to address things like plagiarism,
Uh-huh.
data privacy,
Okay.
the ethical implications of using AI for, academic work.
So it's about setting those clear boundaries and expectations
Right.
so that both students and professors are on the same page.
Exactly.
Yeah. It's like setting the ground rules.
Yeah, set to the ground rules, but policies alone aren't enough.
Right.
Universities also need to invest in training and support
Uh-huh.
for both students and faculty.
Right.
Students need to be taught how to use these AI tools effectively and ethically,
Right.
how to evaluate AI-generated content,
Yeah.
and, critically analyze the results they get.
So it's not just about teaching them how to use the tools, it's about teaching them how to think critically about the tools themselves.
Exactly.
Yeah, that's really important.
And then, faculty also need training on how to integrate AI into their teaching
Right.
in a way that actually enhances learning and promotes academic integrity.
Yeah.
They need to be equipped with the knowledge and the resources to design assignments that, can't be easily solved by AI,
Right.
and to assess student learning in a way that, takes into account the use of these AI tools.
So it's about empowering professors to kind of embrace AI as a partner in education,
Yes.
not as a threat.
Exactly.
And it's about creating a culture of, open dialogue and collaboration
Definitely.
where students and faculty can share their experiences, concerns, ideas about how to navigate, this whole new AI-powered landscape.
I think that's key.
Yeah. So it's about fostering a community of learning where everyone is kind of, engaged in this process of shaping the future of AI in education.
And that's where the real magic happens, I think.
I love that.
When we stop seeing AI as something to fear or something to control,
Mm-hmm.
and we start seeing it as an opportunity to collaborate,
Yeah.
to innovate,
Right.
and to push the boundaries of what's possible in education.
I think that's such a good point.
Yeah.
It's about harnessing the power of AI to create, a more equitable, a
Yes.
more engaging, and a more effective learning experience for all students.
And that's a future I'm really excited to be a part of.
Me too. So we've talked a lot about the challenges, and the anxieties surrounding AI in education.
Right.
But I kind of want to shift gears a little bit and talk about the possibilities.
Yeah, for sure.
Because for all the, valid concerns, there's also this, sense of real excitement, I think, about what AI could actually mean for the future of learning,
Yeah. I think that excitement is totally warranted.
Yeah.
I mean, AI really does have the potential to transform education in ways we can't even imagine yet.
Totally.
It's not just about making things a little easier or a little bit more efficient.
Right.
It's about fundamentally changing how we learn, how we teach, and even how we think about knowledge itself.
Yeah, it's funny when people talk about AI in education,
Yeah.
they often focus on things like, personalized learning
Right.
or adaptive tutoring systems and AI-powered assessments.
Mhm.
And those are all incredibly important.
Yeah.
But I think we need to zoom out even further and consider the bigger picture, right? What happens when AI becomes so integrated into our lives that it's no longer just a tool,
Right.
but an extension of our own minds?
Yeah. We touched on that a little earlier.
Right.
With that whole second brain concept.
Exactly.
Yeah.
What if AI can actually help us process information more efficiently,
Right.
make connections that we might have missed, and even augment our own creativity and problem-solving abilities?
I mean, it's a really fascinating thought.
Yeah. What if it can help us learn faster?
Yeah.
Remember more?
Right.
And understand really complex concepts in entirely new ways?
It really is mind-blowing when you think about it that way.
It's almost like we're on the verge of this cognitive revolution,
Right.
Where the boundaries between human intelligence and artificial intelligence become increasingly blurred.
Yeah. And education is right at the center of that.
Exactly.
Imagine a classroom where AI can personalize the learning experience for every single student,
Wow.
tailoring the content, the pace,
Yeah.
the delivery to their unique needs and learning styles,
It's like every student having their own personalized AI tutor.
Exactly. And imagine students being able to access this vast library of knowledge and expertise instantly at their fingertips.
Yeah.
And then, think about the teachers.
Yeah.
Imagine them being freed from, all of the grading,
Oh, yeah.
all those administrative tasks that take up so much of their time,
Totally.
so that they can actually focus on mentoring students,
Yeah.
fostering that, critical thinking
Right.
and cultivating a love of learning.
Yeah. I mean, that sounds kind of utopian, doesn't it?
It does. But we have to,
Right.
be realistic.
Yeah.
There are definitely potential downsides too, right?
Totally. What about the ethical implications of AI becoming so intertwined with our minds?
Right.
What about the risks of bias,
Yeah.
manipulation, and loss of privacy and all that stuff?
Yeah, for sure. Those are all huge issues. And I think, those aren't issues that we can just kind of brush under the rug.
Right.
As AI is more powerful and more pervasive. We need to be even more careful about making sure it's being used ethically.
Right.
And responsibly. We need to be having these conversations now. Before these technologies become so deeply embedded in our lives that it's too late to course correct.
Yeah, that's a good point. It's we need to get ahead of this.
Yeah, definitely.
So it's about finding that balance, right?
Yeah.
Between embracing all these incredible possibilities while also being mindful of those potential pitfalls.
And ultimately making sure that AI serves humanity,
Right.
not the other way around.
And recognizing that this is a journey, right?
Yes, definitely.
Not a destination.
This is going to be an ongoing conversation for a long time.
Totally. AI is constantly evolving.
Yes.
And our understanding of its impact on education is going to have to, evolve along with it.
Right.
So we need to be adaptable, willing to experiment, and always open to new ways of thinking about learning and teaching.
I think that's a really important takeaway.
I love that. It's about embracing the unknown, knowing that we don't have all the answers yet,
Right.
but being excited to explore the possibilities.
Yeah.
That's what makes it so exciting.
Exactly. Well, this whole conversation has been incredibly thought-provoking.
It has.
And I know our listeners are going to want to dive deeper into all this.
You hope so.
And, the research paper that we keep talking about,
Right.
it's called Clarifying Ethical Dilemmas in Sharpening Students' Artificial Intelligence Proficiency.
Yeah, it's a good one.
It's a fantastic resource
Yeah.
if you want to really, learn more
Yeah.
about the current state of, AI in higher ed.
Definitely. It's packed with insights,
Yeah.
data, and actual student perspectives.
Yeah, it's really interesting to hear, what the students are saying.
Yeah, and it really does a good job of, kind of illuminating all these, complexities.
So I highly recommend checking it out if you're interested in learning more. And as you continue to kind of explore this fascinating intersection of AI and education,
Yeah.
I want to leave you with one final thought.
Okay.
So we've talked about AI as a tool,
Right.
as a partner.
Even as, an extension of our own minds.
Yeah, we've covered a lot of ground.
But what if it's, something even more profound than that? What if AI isn't just changing, how we learn,
Right.
but what it actually means to be human in the first place?
That's a deep question.
I know, right? It's a lot to think about.
Yeah, definitely something to ponder.
Well, until next time, keep diving.